Well, good evening, folks, and a very, very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us here on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. My name is Tonchi Prusak, and I'm your host, as I am always every Monday evening. And it's episode 160, our 10th episode for 2025. So it is going to be, as is always the case, week in, week out, a bumper show packed with a lot of the latest stuff happening from around the region. On tonight's show, we've got a feature interview with a young man who's doing very, very well in the world of football, particularly in the world of youth football. Geelong boy Tobias Tobias Servin, who now plays at Western United. Just last week, he came back from a very successful tour of Hong Kong, where his Western United team took out first place in the Shield Trophy of the Hong Kong Soccer Sevens, which also featured another Geelong boy, or former Geelong boy, Anthony Didolitza, who these days calls Melbourne home. So that's coming up a little bit later on in the show. We're also going to be speaking to the treasurer of the Geelong Soccer Club, Nick Petrovski. Now, we featured Geelong quite a fair bit this year as far as football themes are concerned, but we're going to talk to Nick about some of the programs, some of the community-minded programs that the Lions have been staging at their Stead Park complex in Nor Lane. One of those was the very successful All Abilities League or All Abilities program that just concluded last week. We'll also be talking about the Pathways Cup as well, which was held earlier this year, as well as the general community vibe down at Winslow Park. That's all coming on a bit later on. We've also got lots of news. In fact, it's jam-packed as far as the news is concerned. So we're going to have a little bit of a short break as far as our main sponsor is concerned. Some messages from our sponsor, which is The Gordon, of course. And also shout out to all our business advertising sponsors for tonight's episode. Kerber Coaching Geelong, Just Turfing Instant Turf, Ozcom Technology, and J Hill Books. You are watching the Geelong Region Soccer Show.
Your future is in your hands. There is a whole world waiting for you, and your choices determine how you will impact it. At the Gordon, we recognise this. That's why we champion hands-on learning. Get your hands dirty. Grab what's in front of you. Learn by doing. Turn your passion, your ideas, and mould them into your creations. You'll be supported the entire way. You'll grow your skills in small classes, guided by teachers who are industry experts. You'll learn in state-of-the-art facilities or out in a real-world workplace setting. Your hands-on experience will increase your understanding and put you ahead of your university peers. You'll graduate work-ready, and you'll graduate sooner, with a huge range of qualifications to choose from and support services to enable your success. Now is the time to continue your learning journey. At the Gordon, your future is in your hands.
Welcome back to the news desk, and it's time to talk about the local scene. Now, let's turn our attention first of all to the Victorian Premier League men's competition, the VPL 2 division. And on the weekend, North Geelong Warriors travelled to Box Hill United, to Wembley Park, in fact, to take on Box Hill United, and came away with a very, very valuable 2-1 win. Sergio Escudero and Angus Chapman scoring the 2 goals for the Warriors. It was the Chapman's 10th goal of the season, and not only is he the leading goal scorer at Alco Park, he's also the league's leading goal scorer. And that makes it now 5 wins on the trot for the Warriors. That means even though they remain in 4th position, they are now only 1 point behind the leading trio of Essendon Royals, Eltham Redbacks, and Brunswick Juventus. Nunawading City hosted Geelong, and it was a last-minute goal that broke the hearts of the travelling Lions. And Nunawading City took all 3 points in a very narrow 1-0 win over Geelong. In Victorian Premier League Women's, round 10 was played on the weekend, and it took an own goal by Charisse Kate from Southern United to salvage the game for the home side, Geelong Galaxy drawing 1-1 after the full 90 minutes. Let's turn our attention to this week's round of matches. Big game at Alco Park this Saturday night. Round 16 action sees North Geelong Warriors, who are in fourth position, as we said, just 1 point behind the leading trio, and they take on the actual competition leaders, Essendon Royals. That game at 5 o'clock on Saturday night. Now, it's an important game for the Warriors because they will be looking to exact a little bit of revenge after suffering a 4-1 loss at the hands of Essendon Royals in round 3. Meanwhile, at Hoskins Reserve in Pascoe Vale, Geelong, who are in 7th position, take on bottom side Pascoe Vale, that game kicking off at 6 p.m. Now, it must be said that at this stage, we assume those games will be going on at their normal time. However, obviously with the A-League Grand Final being kicking off at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night, being an all-Melbourne affair, dare I say, there is that possibility that that could change. There are games already that have changed their kickoff times, so whether that is going to be the case going forward remains to be seen. The following day on Sunday, Geelong Galaxy once again is at home at the unusual kickoff time of 3:30 p.m. And Galaxy, who are in 9th, have got a difficult game as they face 4th-placed Bundoora United. Turning our attention now to the men's State League competition, Owen Shepherd once again got on the score sheet for Karaya in State League 1 action, but it wasn't enough as Clifton Hill came away from Hume Reserve with a 2-1 win. It was Shepherd's 6th goal of the season, and he's by far the leading goal scorer there at the Eagles. Geelong Rangers record a very, very important win in the context of avoiding relegation. 2-1 over fellow strugglers Craigieburn City, Connor Redden and Kai Williams scoring those goals. It was Williams' 3rd goal of the season, and he's also the leading goal scorer up there at Myers Reserve. In State 3, a tough game, but an important win for Surf Coast as they defeated Laverton 2-1 at Banyul Warri Reserve. The 2 goal scorers, O'Connell and Sato, scoring their 1st goals of the season. In State 4, Bell Park drew 1-1 with Barnstone Worth United, and as a result, they forfeited top spot to Balmoral, who defeated Lara United 6-1. Now, Lucas Rabagliati scored his 9th goal in 5 games. He's scored in every one of his games, those games that since he's debuted for Bowen. Excellent goal-scoring form is the Italian import. As we mentioned, Lara United went down to Balmoral 6-1. Jake Parker scoring Lara United's only goal. Very valuable win for Deakin Ducks on the road to West Point, scoring 2-0. Laszlo Henry and Brenton Rees both scoring. And another fun fact, I mentioned it last week, every time Sam Wyeth scores, the Ducks win. When he doesn't score, they don't win. Well, that curse has been broken because he didn't score in this game and the Ducks still won. Bowen lost to Westside Strikers 2-0 and Ocean Grove had a bye on the weekend. Looking ahead now to round 10 action. 2 more rounds to go before we're at the halfway mark of the State League season. Incredible. Karaya are away to 8th place Westvale Olympic. That game kicking off at McKechnie Reserve at 3 p.m. The Uni Hill Eagles host the Geelong Rangers in State 2 action at Findon Reserve, also 3 p.m. Surf Coast travels to 6th placed Epping City at Aurora Fields. And in State League 4 action, we've got a Friday night game where Lara United hosts Barnstone Worth United at Lara Recreation Reserve, 8:30 p.m. kickoff. So if you're not doing anything this Friday night, get down to Lara Recreation Reserve. Fantastic facilities down there, and they've got a great canteen set up as well. And I'm sure that Lara United would appreciate your support. They need the support. They need the points as well. The following day, Melton Phoenix hosts Deakin Ducks at McPherson Park. Keilor Wolves are at home to Barwon, at Green Gully Reserve, pitch number 4. And then the big one on Saturday night, Bell Park has got a chance to redeem itself and overtake Balmoral on top spot when they host the current ladder leaders at Bell Park Sports Club. That game kicking off at 6 p.m. under lights. Should be an absolute fantastic game, that one. A real humdinger, as they say. In State League 5 action, bottom side Footscray Rangers hosts Ocean Grove. And we move over to the Women's State League. North Geelong Warriors came away from Ardea Reserve yesterday with a 1-1 draw against the high-flying Westgate, who I believe are currently in second spot on the competition standings in Women's State League 1. Zoe Storchich scoring the only goal for the Warriors. This weekend, in fact, on Saturday night, the Warriors will be hosting 7th place Craigieburn City. A win over Craigieburn City will see North Geelong jump into 7th spot, and that game kicking off at 7 p.m. immediately after the Warriors men clash with Essendon Royals, which kicks off at 5 p.m. So Super Saturday soccer at Alco Park this weekend. All right, well, let's turn our attention to the local league, and it's time now for Tonchi's Tantrum. Yes. Well, at 4:36 p.m. tonight, on the Football Geelong website in the competitions department, that was the state of affairs for the men's Division 1 and the women's Division 1 competition. So by mid-afternoon or late afternoon on a Monday, we only had one score for the women's there on the left, one score on the men's there on the right. We put it up on our Facebook page earlier today. Thank you to all of those individuals who did end up putting the scores down. But the reason why we have a Super Saturday Soccer post every Saturday is for everyone. It doesn't matter if it's clubs, officials, supporters, whoever, to put the scores down of their games. And the whole purpose of that is to unify, to bring the football community together. What do I mean by that? It becomes the one-stop shop where you can check your results of local games. It doesn't matter if it's seniors, if it's reserves, if it's Divi 1, Divi 3, if it's men's, women's, juniors, futsal even. Just put the scores down and let's have a thread of 100 posts. Why? Because it seems that whoever is responsible is not doing their job. To have my daughter plays basketball and they have real-time scoring. So as the hoops go in, the shots go in, it's all computerized and you can have a look on the app, you can have a look on the internet, on Facebook, whatever the case may be, and you will see the scores. We as a code, we as a sport can't do that 48 hours after the game has finished. Something's not right. Something is wrong. Rant over. Moving along now. On a positive note, news out of Football Victoria this week reveals that a new State League Cup competition will be known as the Cecil Early Shield, and it will comprise the final 8 men's State League clubs that have made it through to the 2025 Doherty Australia Cup, or the Doherty Cup or the Australia Cup. So the final 8 clubs will be drawn in the quarterfinals, with the successful clubs advancing to the semi, and eventually the grand final will be played as a curtain raiser at the home of the Matildas to this year's Doherty Cup on the weekend of August the 10th. To find out more about what is behind all this and who Cess Early was, he was for the older folk will remember him. He was an absolute legend that I think played at Geelong Rangers, Bell Park, Corio, and the old Geelong, when I think it was an Irish club. And next week, on next week's show, we will be hosting Football Victoria historian Tony Pasoglia, who will tell us all about the Cess Early Cup and the background to it, I guess. So it's certainly worth watching on next week's show. If you are after a job, yes, Football Victoria has got a regional development coordinator role for the region of Wimmera South Coast, which is this area. Previously, the role was performed by Simon Wrench, who recently parted ways with Football Victoria, decided for whatever reason he didn't want to do this. So this now is a vacancy, a job vacancy. If you at the moment are looking for work or are qualified to be a development coordinator for this region, and above all has a passion for football and wants to see the game grow and help clubs and help the sport and help the region, go on seek.com.au and all that information is there for you. And lastly, but certainly not least, what great news out of Europe overnight. Arsenal won the UEFA Women's Champion League, and they defeated Barcelona 1-0 in Lisbon, in Portugal. And Arsenal's win had a very, very strong local flavour. Kyra Cooney-Cross, the Matilda, who's there on the right-hand side, number 32, and also former North Geelong Warriors and Geelong and Bell Park player and coach and assistant coach Aaron Dantino, who is an assistant at Arsenal. Both were involved in that victorious Arsenal win. So congratulations to the pair. Kerber Coaching Geelong, which is one of our business advertising sponsors, also put up a post yesterday or earlier today. Congrats to this legend who last year joined our kids for a special evening. 12 months on, she's just gone and won the Women's Champions League. Absolutely huge. We are so proud of you, Kyra Cooney-Cross, and we can't wait to see you soon. Well done, and fantastic news. That is absolutely great stuff. All right, we've come to the end, I think, of our news desk. When we return, it's time for our special guest for tonight's show. And our first cab off the rank is going to be Tobias Servin from Western United, who was part of the victorious Western United team at last week's Hong Kong Soccer Sevens. Folks, don't go away. Just Turfing Instant Turf is a local family-owned and operated company which guarantees top quality products and service. Whether you need turf for a small front garden or a large landscaping project, Just Turfing Instant Turf are the turf installer experts you can trust. They supply and install for most major landscapers in Melbourne and Geelong, with a wide range of premium instant turf and a full suite of turf care products. Chloe and the team at Just Turfing are sure to have all your turf needs covered. Their Melbourne, Geelong and Victorian regional distribution means they can supply your area with fresh cut turf installed the same day, hassle-free. Turf options that are available include Eureka Kikuyu, Santa Ana, Tiff Tuff, Sir Walter Buffalo and Sir Grange. For more information, contact either Chloe on 0431 571 558 or Josh on 0457 174 111. And welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast. Our next guest, well, it's a pleasure to have this young man on the show. He just came back from Hong Kong. What an exotic location just last week. And he was part of the Western United Soccer Sevens team, the squad that travelled to Hong Kong and took part in the very, very prestigious Hong Kong Football Club Soccer Sevens. And it's a seven-a-side tournament that features youth and academy teams from across Europe competing against counterparts from the Asia-Pacific region. He was one of two Geelong boys, the other being Anthony Didalitza, who's nowadays based up in Melbourne. And, of course, we are talking about Tobias Servin, who joins us. Tobias, good evening, and how are you?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, absolute pleasure, mate. Well, congratulations, first of all. What an achievement that was. Well done.
Thank
Now
you.
we've got some footage now of your goal. Talk us through this. So it was the second goal.
Yeah. So I came on a couple minutes left to the second half, and there was only like 10. I looked at the clock and there was only like 10 seconds left. So I was like, you know what, may as well just chase it down, and then just ran it down and ended up getting there and scored.
Yeah, fantastic goal. Now, at what point did you actually think to yourself, hey, I've got this. Oh, I reckon I can get there. Was it at the halfway line? You passed the halfway line? Or did you see the other guy just sort of dawdling and you thought, nah, I can do this?
Yeah, so I saw Harry Kasky in front of me, and I was like, you can see me hesitate at the start. I thought, I'll just leave it. He's probably going to get there because he was so far in front of me.
Yep.
But then I saw the clock, like 10 seconds left, may as well just go for it because the Hong Kong guy was like kind of dawdling.
Yeah.
So I just went for it and then ended up catching Harry, catching the guy and scoring. Yeah.
Now, ironically, the match commentators actually called it a goal for Harry. Were you watching the replay afterwards and getting a little bit of ribbing from Harry and saying, "Oh, you look like you've changed appearance"?
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I mentioned it to him as well. We just started laughing about it.
Yeah. Now, like I said, congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
An absolute fantastic achievement. Now, I'm
Mm.
told it's the first non-English club or first non-England-based club that has actually won the main tournament. So that makes it even more amazing. But you had
Yeah.
some, very esteemed company there, including another Geelong boy, Anthony Didolitzer.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And how was it playing with the boys? I mean, obviously you guys all played together at Western United,
Yeah.
and but how did you find playing in this kind of, I guess it's modified version, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty good because so I trained with five of the boys because five of them are seniors, and then the other five were A League scholars.
Yep.
So they have A League contracts, but they don't actually like. Well, they can, but like they pretty much just train with the A League, but they're not in like the starting 11 yet.
Yep.
Um, but they drop down to play games in seniors. So when we play, so we pretty much play seniors together, but we don't train together. So we have played together before, but not this many times because we don't really train together. But it was good to get to know the boys more,
Yeah.
and be with them.
Yeah. Now, before we talk more about the tour, before we talk about the trip yourself, you play for Western United, and you're in the under 23s team. So that's the reserve team of the VPL one outfit. But you've been promoted in recent times to the senior squad. So you're playing quite often in the VPL one seniors. How are you finding that?
Yeah, so the last couple of weeks I've been playing seniors and started a couple of times as well, which is pretty good. Um, it's definitely different from the 23s. The jump is like quite big. Because you're versing older blokes, you're versing people that are, like they're pretty good and they're big. So the physicality
Yeah.
and speed of the game is a lot faster. And at the start, it was a bit hard to get used to, but I feel like I'm slowly getting better and getting used to it. So it's pretty
And
good.
who do you find being the toughest opponents? The 16, 17, 18-year-olds like yourself who are, aiming for senior football and aiming to, eventually one day play professional football. All those 20-something, 30-somethings, guys that have, been to the top that have still got it, what makes it
Mm.
to play at, say, NPL level, and their clubs, whether it's Northcote City, Caroline Springs, George Cross, Bentley Greens, clubs that have got ambition of returning to the top competition. Which ones do you find to be the tougher opponent?
For me personally, it's probably the older blokes in their 20s because they've got that experience. Their mindset is there, and then yeah, they've been there, done that. Their mindset is definitely one of the strongest things they have on us young boys, because our senior team's pretty young compared to
Yep,
everyone else.
yep,
But technically, I feel like we have it on most of the teams, pretty much
yep,
every team.
yeah.
But it's just that physicality and mental side to it, and
What,
experience.
what about their craftiness? So you talk about experience, and some of these older blokes, we don't have the VAR, and we certainly don't have any of that, like the playback TV or anything like that. So are they quite cunning, and do they do the sort of shirt pulling when the referee's not watching, or stepping on the toes? All those little kind of, let's call them dirty tricks, but it's all part of the game, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. um, a couple of them definitely do. Some of them are nice about it, like they get that you're young and like they're still gonna hit you, whatever, but like they're not gonna do that extra stuff. But
Yeah.
some of them definitely do. Some of them definitely do.
Yeah. Now let's go back to Hong Kong. Like I said, an exotic sort of a location, and we'll show some of those photos up there, and just absolutely incredible. Look at that. You've got these
Yeah.
skyscrapers in the background, and you're training.
Mm.
Take us through what was a typical day while you were on tour. Like, what time would you wake up? Where would you have breakfast? Did you have it together at the hotel complex, or did you have a little bit of downtime? Tell us what was a typical day, I guess, in the life of a professional footballer on tour.
Yeah. So the first day was pretty much just traveling. The flight was about 8 hours or so. And then when we landed, we took an hour bus from the airport to the hotel, and the hotel was in view of the pitch where we played on. It was probably 100 meters away.
Yep.
So it was pretty good, perfect location. Couldn't get much closer. And then the main 3 days where we played our games, the day before, so the first day, sorry, was we had a training session. So
Yep.
we we have breakfast between 7 and 8:30.
Yep.
And then we go have breakfast. We had the breakfast at the hotel, and then we come back, chill for a little bit, have a team meeting, talk about the teams we're versing, like tactics, whatever. And then we go to have a training session. The first one was just a kind of a bit of fun because get the legs moving again after the flame flight, but still focusing on what we need to work on for the upcoming games.
Mm-hmm.
And then did training, and it was 30 degrees, 85% humidity. It was
really?
steaming hot. Yeah, very hot. Very hot. So we were absolutely sweating. So obviously you got to get that hydration in. So we had a box of a big esky filled with ice, towels, Powerades, electrolytes, you name it, it was there. And then we went from training back to the hotel, showered, and then got changed into our Western uniform. And then we walked back to where the tournament was held. There's like a big building where a couple of teams were staying there, I think, but it was where the pool was, the entrance to the stadium, pretty much everything was there, restaurant. So we ended up having lunch there and dinner there, and that was pretty much lunch and dinner there most nights. And then I think we had lights off was about 10:30, but most people would go to bed earlier because we had to get up early in the morning. And then,
did you have much downtime, throughout the day, and how did you spend that downtime if you did have any?
yeah, so we had the first day was just it was just like one set of training that only went for like an hour and a half. The rest of the day was pretty much just going around Hong Kong, going on team walk, looking at the pitch, just getting used to the area, settling in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day it was our only day off. So we had training in the morning. Then after that, we went to the markets. We went to the Hong Kong markets, walked around the main part where we were a bit.
Yep.
And that was pretty good. We were there for a couple of hours. Everyone got some stuff, do the bargaining, this, that. It's pretty good. And then went back to the hotel, went for a swim, and then had dinner, and then went back home, and that was that day. And then the next day was the game. So we had team meeting, so breakfast, team meeting, and then we headed off to the part for the games, and then we'd sit down, watch a bit, and then because the games were only 14 minutes, and it was like rolling. The games are pretty much rolling.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as one game finished, they walked off. Next game walked on. Like there was no breaks.
Yeah.
So we could only warm up behind like where the goals were. So we could only have about a 15-minute warm up.
Yeah.
Oh, that was like actually on the balls because of the other games that were getting played. So you would just have to make sure you're recovering and getting all the right stuff done, stretching, warming up like beforehand. So then when you get onto the pitch to do the actual ball work, you're warmed up from it.
Well,
the world is yours. So work hard, and you can have whatever it is you want.
Up from it.
Well, there's really no time to kind of rest in between, isn't it? It's just full on. And your coach, Anthony Frost, was your coach, was he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah, and did you have any other support staff there, physios or trainers or anything like that, assistant coaches, or was it just
Yeah, so we
you?
had an assistant coach manager, and then we had a physio, and we had Michael Island who looked after all the kits and
Yep.
preparations and all the organising, pretty much the schedules and all that.
Michael, very well known to the Geelong region, former competitions manager at Football Victoria from a few years back, and he's now the academy administration manager down there and does a very, very good job. That's awesome, mate. Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. Now, mate, you're only 17 and you're in year
Yeah,
12 at St. Joey's here in Geelong.
yeah,
How do you combine it all? Because I assume you train up in Melbourne, up at Tarney, what, 4 times a week plus game day, and then
yeah.
obviously you had this trip. How are you managing to combine the I guess the high commitment required for Year 12 ECE and all of your football commitments?
Yeah, so it's pretty hard, but I do get it done. So the school is very good with it, and they gave me like more study periods,
Hmm.
so I could focus on my subjects and do my homework and everything I need to during school times, which is what I try to do because they understand that after school is almost impossible for me to actually get some work done.
Yep, yep.
Um,
So
so
does
yeah,
that
they're
mean you
pretty.
do less subjects, or have you done kind of in year 10 and year 11 you did a kind of more of the VCE subjects, so your load isn't as big in come year 12?
Yeah, so in year 11, I did one year 12 subject,
Hmm.
which means when I got to year 12, I had one less, so then I only
Oh,
had to do four this year.
yep,
So that already gives me a couple private study periods, but it was kind of too much still for me.
yep.
Um, so I asked them if I could drop one this year, so I only had four because you only need four, but like they don't recommend having four because then if you fail one, like you don't
Points
get
go
your
down. Yeah, yep,
certificate, whatever. So, but I didn't feel like I was going to fail anything. I feel like if I had the three and I had more time to focus on those three, I would do better than if I had four and trying to stress over all four.
yep.
So they were pretty lenient on that and let me do that. So now I do three subjects this year.
Yeah, excellent. Now you come from a pretty well-known footballing family, the Servins, very well known around Geelong. You've got brothers who've played at various clubs and continue to do so. How's that competitive environment at home growing up and having brothers, younger brothers that were into football as well? Has that helped your kind of development? Has it kind of helped you motivate yourself to do better and keep that one step ahead of the younger brothers?
Yeah, I reckon it has, to be honest. Um, well, obviously, Caden, the middle one, he's only 2 years younger than me, so there's always that competition where like you don't want him to be better than you,
Yeah.
being an older brother. So yeah, that does play an effect, which is good in a way. And being able to push each other, it also helps us because we can like work with each other and do stuff outside, like go to the pitch nearby and actually do
Yeah.
stuff with each other to help, which is good. Yeah,
Awesome. And we got to mention the younger one, TT, as well. A legend of a kid. I coached him
yeah,
as well. So big shout out to TT as well.
yeah,
Now, mate, there's lots of talent here in Geelong. We often say this. Some of the talent going around Geelong is absolutely fantastic, but it just struggles to make that gap to senior football. And as you just mentioned at the start of the interview, there is a real big jump between youth football or I guess junior football and that senior level. What would be your advice to some of those younger guns coming up through the ranks? What would be some of your advice to take your football to another level?
I would just say just don't give up and don't let the bad things or like if you have a bad day or a bad training session or whatever, don't let it affect you and bring you down because a lot of it is mentally. And I can speak through experience because when I before I made my senior debut, 2 weeks prior to that, I got dropped to the 17s because I wasn't training. Like consistency is a big thing,
Hmm.
and my mindset wasn't there. And in 2 weeks, I went from 17s to starting seniors. So a lot can change very quickly, and you just need to
And what
get
do you
things on
put
board.
that down to? Was it something that triggered in your own behavior, your own attitude, or was it something that one of the coaches pulled you aside and said, listen, you got to work on this, and that? What do you think was it that triggered you into that such a massive transformation from what in 2 weeks going from the 17s to the seniors?
It was just, well, I feel like the 17s it wasn't enough for me. It wasn't pushing me. It wasn't testing me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, got the coaches did pull me aside, speak to me, saying, "You've been doing this and this and this. You need to start doing blah blah blah." And so I just put my head down, started working. Mindset changed, and then just like that, I was back up to where I wanted to be.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. That's absolutely fantastic advice and great stuff. Finally, I guess you had a chance to rub shoulders with kids or players from various academies from England. I think Aston Villa and you played Aston Villa, Macau, obviously the Hong Kong Football Club, but there was obviously teams from Yokohama Mariners, Atletico Madrid, Manchester City, etc., etc. All that interaction with some of these other teams, either directly or indirectly on the field or off the field, what were some of the things that you learned about the sport, about football, about taking it to another level that you've brought back with you and will probably incorporate in your footballing, attitude going forward?
Yeah. Playing with or just watching even all the English teams, the Premier League teams playing, you can just tell how like their connection, how they play the game is a bit different to how we play it. And you can definitely learn from just watching them talk, like listening to them. We spoke to the Brighton team once because they were at dinner with us. Off the pitch, all very nice lads. Like the Japanese team was sitting next to us at once, and we were cheering on, and they started cheering with us, even though they bet us the day before. Like they don't take anything for granted, and the connection is pretty good just with everyone off the pitch as well. Like on the pitch, different story. You have your battles. No one's really friends, but as soon as you get off, it's completely different. And it's pretty
And
good.
I guess in that sort of cutthroat environment, and you've only got 14-minute halves, you have to switch on right from the outset. You can't kind of allow 5 minutes just to sort of see how things are going. You have to be focused right from the outset and maintain that consistency, which is something that you talked about before, isn't it?
Yeah, you sure did. Before you got to the semis were 10 minutes, finals were 10-minute halves, but in those 7-minute halves, it's really, you have to take your chances. You get a couple of attacks, and you don't want to lose the ball. Like you really want to keep it, because you want to try and make them run. Because it was so hot, you would get tired pretty quickly. But you only have a couple chances at goal, and you need to take them chances.
Well, young man, we've almost been talking for 20 minutes, so credit to you. Well done. But you've provided, I think, our viewers with some absolute pearls of wisdom. So we thank you for that, and I wish you all the best with your footballing career. And great to see a local boy doing so well, and continue keep on doing it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Tobias Servan doing some amazing things at Western United, breaking into the senior VPL team, but also coming back from Hong Kong last week and being part of that historic tournament-winning Western United team that also featured another Geelong boy, Anthony Di Delizza. Folks, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll continue with tonight's episode of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Don't go away. Are IT issues slowing down your business? Well, Ozcom Technology Group is your solution. A global leader in information technology services and solutions, the Ozcom Technology Group was established in 2009, and we've since grown to become one of the most distinguished IT companies nationally, with our head office right here in Geelong. From on-site IT support, cybersecurity, cloud solutions, web design and business phone systems, we provide expert IT support and services to keep your operations running smoothly. Our team of professionals believe that IT solutions can be achieved only by close collaboration with our clients. We listen to what you have to say about current needs, typical frustrations, and expected outcomes. Speak to us today to learn how Ozcom Technology Group can help your IT system and put your organisation one step ahead of the competition. Drop us an email at support@ozcomtechnologygroup.com.au or call us on 1300 720 503. Okay, welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. And geez, wasn't that a great interview with young Tobias Servin? Quite inspirational for young folk there as well. And it's great to see local footballers doing some great things. Speaking of local footballers doing great things, or local football clubs doing great things, our next guest comes from Geelong Soccer Club. A club that's obviously one of the biggest here in Geelong football-wise, but also they're doing some fantastic things off the field as far as the community side of things is concerned as well. And recently they held an all abilities football event, football league, if you like. And to tell us more about that is our next guest, the treasurer of the Geelong Soccer Club, Nick Petrovski. Nick, welcome to the Geelong Region Soccer. As we said, the treasurer of the Geelong Soccer Club. How are you?
Yeah, really well, thanks, Tonchi. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. And now we talked about the All Abilities League, and that's something that you guys at Winslow Park have just recently concluded the first season of it for this year, that is. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, absolutely, Tonchi. Look, I know you've sort of just very recently you've sort of had Ante and Jaycon speak about the senior men's program, and obviously Andy speaking about a fantastic junior program and sort of some of the success we've had on off the park with the women's and the boys programs. But it's a very exciting time to be a Geelong Soccer Club supporter, Tonchi. So we've had a really great event really recently that we've sort of ran with regards to the all ability space. So it's an
Yeah.
area that we felt like our club was missing, and really we're very excited to get involved in. So Tonchi, pretty much as a way of introduction, so I did a program last year called Leaders for Geelong, and on the back of that, connected with Leisure Networks and learnt a lot about a lot of the great programs they've done within our region, specifically, AFL, basketball, cricket. But it was almost a bit disappointing to sort of hear there wasn't anything in that soccer space. So on the back of that, we had a bit of a conversation and sort of said, what can we as a club and as a community do to get something going for kids to play football in our region? And on the back of that, Bianca Juresco, Mike McKinistry, and I had some conversations with them and sort of thought, what could it look like? So what it started with, Tonchi, is we ran a gala day at our club sort of towards the back end of last season, and we had about 80 children from Nelson Park, Armstrong, Creek, Barwon Valley, Lake Colac, Hamlin Views, and Nelson Park come out, and that was a really, really good day. We did a bit of a round robin between the schools,
Yeah.
and had about 80 children come out and sort of had a bit of a sausage sizzle. Then we did something similar to that at the start of this year in collaboration with Leisure Networks. And what we sort of found, Tonchi, is out of those 80 children, I think about 60 hadn't actually played a sport for their school before. So there's a really big gap in the market in terms of having something for these kids to be able to play. And that was probably the first thing we wanted to understand is there a need for it? Is there demand for it? The kids that want to play, which is really positive. And then on the back of that, Tonchi, we sort of thought, okay, we've got the kids engaged. What's next? How do we keep them loving the sport and sort of keeping
Yeah.
involved? And on the back of that, I connected with Scott Smith, who's running a really, really good program called the Geelong All Ability Sports Club, or the Geelong Stars, as they're called. And we sort of said, okay, well, given we've had the success of having the kids at our club for 2 round robins, how do we keep them engaged and do something? And as you mentioned, we did a bit of an introductory program, Tonchi. So what it sort of looked like is we had a small 3-week block. We had about 15 kids come down to our club, and just with the help of some great, coaches and volunteers we've got at our club, we did some small skill-based sessions. So we did some passing, some shooting, some dribbling, and some agility, just to get the kids involved in the game. And just, it was really rewarding. I think the coaches who participated really, really enjoyed it. The feedback from the parents and the kids was great. And I think on the back of that, we're really looking forward to having the kids back at our club again in term 4. So that's something to look out for, and would very much encourage other clubs in the region to put their hand up and get involved. And the way we sort of see it going, Tonchi, is, there's some fantastic programs that have sort of got up off the ground probably before COVID within the region for all abilities and soccer. And we're just really excited to sort of see what the next steps are. And we hope that if we get some more clubs involved, we can look to get some sort of competition moving hopefully next year. And just between then and now, keep the kids engaged, keep them on the park, and keep them enjoying our great sport.
And I did. Speaking of on the subject of other clubs as well being involved, I did speak to Mike McKinstry, the chairman of the Geelong Region Football Committee, and he wasn't aware that he wasn't aware of any other clubs. Are you aware of any other clubs in the region that are doing something similar?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, Tonchi, I think we're the first. We've probably been the first to go out there and get involved in this space, and I think
Yep.
Mike might be the right that we are the only ones doing it at the moment. But we'd absolutely encourage other clubs to go out there and get it going for sure.
Yeah, apparently there has been interest from other clubs, I do believe. Yeah, don't hold me to that, but I think Armstrong United and someone might have been Deacon or someone else, but they never took it to the next step. Nick, what would be your words of advice, I guess, or what would be your kind of pearls of wisdom with regards to running such a program for other clubs that other clubs might be interested in?
Yeah, definitely, Tonch. Look, the way we sort of looked at it is, most sporting clubs, we've got balls, we've got cones, we've got kits. Obviously, we've got volunteers and coaches. Just put your hand up and go for it. I think the biggest thing that probably held a lot of clubs back, just chatting to, a few of the people at Leisure Networks and a few people in the all abilities space is, I guess, as coaches or as football people, we're very equipped to deal with football, but, something we may not be very educated in is dealing with children who come from all abilities backgrounds. But what I'd sort of say with that is, if you're doing it with someone like Scott from the Geelong Stars, or for example, you're doing it with an organisation like Leisure Networks, they sort of have that skill set in working with children with these backgrounds. And what I'd sort of say is the parents there as well too. So my best advice is put your hand up, give it a go. And I think this game is for everyone, Tonchi, like we all know. Like, myself and yourself come from migrant backgrounds and very much understand, the role that sport plays in connection and sort of building community. So I think it's really good and positive that these kids get the opportunity as well.
I'm glad you mentioned the migrant element because obviously being a Macedonian community-backed club, Geelong Soccer Club, is very proud of its heritage. But it's also, and one thing that I really enjoy coming to Stead Park is the welcoming kind of atmosphere there. Doesn't matter who you are, what you are. Spend 5 minutes there and you'll know exactly what a kebab is. But this is the thing. It's a club that now really is branching out and really engaging various parts of the community, the mainstream community that probably otherwise wouldn't. For example, the All Ability space. But there's another one, the Pathways Cup, which was started earlier this year, which was aimed at, I guess, promoting more Indigenous involvement in football. Tell us a bit about that program as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Tonchi. So that was a really great program we had this year. So we ran a program at the start of this year in February. So it's a collaboration between two like-minded clubs, being our club, Geelong Soccer Club, and one of our close affiliated clubs, Avondale Soccer Club. So it's a program which was supported by the Watherong people, and the view of it was really just to provide inclusive programs in the soccer space for Indigenous people. And so the day included a series of programs for the Mini Roos. We had a president's function, a few guest speakers, and a raffle and some auctions. So it was a really good showcase game at the end of the evening between the sort of Lions and Avengers being the two senior squads, which fortunately we ended up winning, which was a really good result for the club on the day. But look, I think the best result is probably off the pitch. It raised some valuable funds for this cause, and the way we sort of see it going, Tonchi, between Avondale and Geelong Soccer Club, and with the support of Winslow Construction, our major sponsor, the view of this is really just using these funds to make a tangible difference to young people through the development of some soccer clinics. So we know one of the biggest barriers to entry with our great game is obviously uniforms, registrations, costs, and barriers of playing. So those funds will go towards getting Indigenous kids to playing sports at our club and Avondale's, and hoping we can produce some fantastic players for our region, both in that corridor that Avondale's in and in our region in Geelong as well.
Has there been much? I guess has there been anything kind of tangible that's come out of it in the sense of any Indigenous kids this year registering for the first time and playing football at Geelong Soccer Club?
Yeah, definitely, Tonchi. So I think we've had sort of only a handful, unfortunately. We'd love to get a lot more involved in ours. So I think we've had about one or two come into the space this year.
Mm-hmm.
Our
Good
understanding is
start.
Avondale's had some fantastic success. So I think it's SV or LV Football have run a program there, and they've got a series of kids that are up on the park, which is great. So hoping we get a lot more involved in playing for sure.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fantastic, and obviously the local pollies there that were there on the day. Eddie Contel from the council, Christine Cousins. She's also parliamentary secretary for First People. She was there involved as well as other dignitaries. So, are you getting much support from various tiers of council, Football Victoria, or is it just a lot of it's kind of just sort of lip service, or is it something that they're really supporting in a big way?
Yeah, I think so, Tonchi. So I think we've had some great support. There was a number of sponsors on the day, more sort of private businesses that put in as
Yeah,
well. And I think that the council was very interested in this space for sure. Like we were very lucky. I think we had on the day Christine, we had Eddie as well. I've spoken to Al a little bit around this space too. So it's great that we've got some fantastic council members that are really interested in this
that's
space and wanting
awesome.
to
That's
grow
absolutely fantastic.
pathways for First Nations. And obviously they're really supportive of all abilities programs too, which is great.
That
Yeah.
is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Now, obviously, the Geelong Soccer Club. We've spoken about how it's becoming such a big community hub, but it's not just, I guess, outside organisations, but internally from a football point of view. The Western United Cup was held for the first time at Stead Park at Winslow Park earlier this year, prior to the community season kicking off. And by all accounts, that was very, very successful. Are we likely to see edition number 2 next year also at Stead Park?
Oh, definitely, Tonchi. Yeah, like we'd love to host the event. I think it was a really great day with Western United, I guess, letting us run the day, which was fantastic. So I think we had about 70 teams. There would have been thousands of
Yeah,
kids running around the park. So I think it was a big day for the volunteers. Lots of coffee was sold and so on. But yeah, absolutely, we'd love to host again. I think it was a really, really great day for the community, and it was good to have kids from other clubs coming out to Winslow Park, and we can showcase our facilities and so on. It was a really good day. It was
yeah.
great.
Now the Okay, and finally, I guess a question needs to be asked, and we've talked about venturing out into the mainstream community and being a real community club, but it's also important to remember your own club, I guess, club's heritage, and particularly some of the older members of the club, the existing club, and the Macedonian community, who are massive, massive backers of the soccer club. How important is the Geelong Soccer Club to the local Macedonian community?
Yeah, definitely. It's massive, Tonchi. So, like, for me, last name like Petrovsky, it's definitely a Macedonian last name. So for me, Dad had been involved with the club. I've had a number of uncles and relatives that have, either played or held board roles or been some of the founding members. So I think, football's got a massive part in the local community. So for
Yeah,
us, obviously, with the Macedonian community, it's massive, obviously, too. But I'd say, like, similar to what you touched on before, as much as we're a Macedonian club and we're very proud of that, we welcome anyone who proudly wears our shirt. So it is a huge impact for the community, but also we're a very open club too. That's for sure.
yeah, awesome, fantastic. On that note, we wish you all the very best with edition 2 of the Pathways Cup and the and also the All Abilities, because speaking of which, that's coming up very shortly, isn't it? The second season of the All Abilities.
Yeah, it is, Tonchi. So I'll flick you through a bit of a link to Scott from the Geelong Stars in terms of his page. So we'll be looking to do another program with the kids towards sort of term 4, and I think definitely watch this space, and let's hope some other clubs jump on board and we can get some sort of competition going into early next year.
Yeah, awesome. Yep, it will pop that link in the chat section, in the comments section as well. So you'll be able to click on that and you'll be able to take it from there. Nick, thank you so much for joining us on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's great to get to know the clubs, but also get to know what they're doing outside of just the normal football field, I guess the football zone. So it's great to see what Geelong Soccer Club is doing in the mainstream community sense.
Thanks, Tonchi. Appreciate it. Have a nice night.
Good on you. And that was Nick Petrovsky from the Geelong Soccer Club. Are you too busy running your own business to worry about your financials? Allow J Hill Books to focus on your books so you can focus on your core business. Based in Lara, Geelong, J Hill Books owner, operator and senior bookkeeper Judy Hill has always worked in finance administration. The world of cloud accounting, however, means that clients can be based anywhere within Australia. Currently, J Hill Books services clients from Lara, Geelong, the Bellarine Peninsula and Melbourne. You won't need to come home from working all day and start on paperwork. You can spend your time in other productive areas such as marketing or quoting, or even better, come home and switch off. You will know how your business is tracking as often as you need, whether that is on a weekly, monthly or quarterly basis. You can be satisfied that you are meeting your legal requirements to your staff and to the ATO. And deadlines will no longer be stressful for you. Let J Hill Books take the stress out of running a small business and allow you to enjoy watching your business go to the next level. For more information, visit our website at www.jhillbooks.com.au, or better yet, call us on 0402 469 243 or email us at info@jhillbooks.com.au. And that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's show. Before we do go, there is some late breaking news. In fact, from our business advertising sponsor, Curva Coaching, they've announced tonight. It's with much sadness that we announce Coach Ash, and we're talking about Ash Dafter, will be wrapping up his time with Curva Coaching Geelong this week. Ash has been a huge part of our team, bringing energy, passion, and top quality coaching to every session. While we're sad to see him go, we're proud to see him take the next step in his journey with Football Northern Territory. Well, that is big news, and Ash, who was heavily involved with Surf Coast, as well, the football club and the coaching as well. I'm sure there are a lot of people who have come in contact with Ash Dafter over the last few years. Wish him all the very, very best for his new venture. Roy Hay, the doyen of the local history, I guess, the history of the local region, he sent through this photo of the Geelong veterans team in Adelaide circa 1990 for the Australian Masters Championships, where they finished as runners-up. And in it is a young Cess Early, right there where the arrow is. And as we mentioned earlier in the show tonight, the shield, the Men's State League Cup shield, has been named after him. And for more information about that and the background of how that came about, and the actual cup itself, and how that's going to transpire this year, we're going to be speaking with Football Victoria's official historian, Tony Pasoglia, on next week's show. One of our club sponsors, who will be coming up very shortly in the next few weeks, is Bell Park Sports Club. They've actually sponsored us, one of the few clubs this year that have actually backed us, and we thank them sincerely, and their president, Rose Piratina. Well, they've got a big weekend coming up this weekend, a Thai infusion night happening every last Friday of the month only, and it's coming up this Friday. You can enjoy a set menu choosing from 2 entrees, 1 main and 1 dessert. It's $35 per person. It has to be a minimum of 3 people. There are other things on the menu as well. You can come down to Bell Park Sports Club at 10 Lindburn Road in Batesford. But don't forget to book if you are going to attend. The number there is 52761440, or email functions@bellparksportsclub.com.au. And that is it for another episode of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Thank you again for being a part of this week's show. We look forward to having your company next Monday night. Good night, and thanks again. Bye-bye.